Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode number 41 of the No Punches Pulled podcast. Myself and the boys back in the game. JFT top right, Mr. Liam Tully, fresh off what was a crazy night at Portman Road this past Saturday. We don't normally dwell on what's just happened, but I missed a lot of the action at the weekend. Obviously, it'd be good to get Liam's perspective of being inside a rainy Portman Road on Saturday night. JFT enjoyed the weekend as a fan, which is always good to do. A lot of our time spent watching and waffling when the fights are on, so always good to pull back. So yeah, I mean, look, before we get into a bit of a review of what happened last week, look, there's not too much on this week. Yes, Hitchins, Kambosos is probably the highlight. Andy Cruz on the undercard, but no UK boxing as far as I'm aware this weekend. To be fair, there's a bit of a lull coming through, should we say, in July until July, which is going to be absolutely monumental in all corners of the world. So, yeah, without further ado, boys, I'll let you boys kind of, if you want to have a little chat about Opataya. Obviously, Wardley, Hooney has been. I know you boys did a review as well on JFT straight after it, but. For anyone who missed it or anybody who wants to let anything go, I mean, hang on, there's loads of comments here before we hop in. Hi, Humble Apple Crumble. Thanks for joining, my friend.
Good evening, sir.
Here we go, Luke. I hope you're well, mate. Thanks for joining as always. Good weekend of British boxing and Josh Kelly. Yeah, we won't talk too much about that.
Humble Apple Crumble. I assigned a gender to an apple crumble, and I apologise for doing that. I don't know whether you were a male or a female apple crumble. So I do apologise for doing that.
Oh, I love it.
Listen, we have to do that. You know, this apple crumble may identify as neither, so I can't be gendering desserts.
It's all about quality, JFT on the SW Fight Hub YouTube channel.
Welcome. Yes, thanks for joining us. Yes, Lloyd.
My friend. Yeah, we'll get into Kambosos Hitchins, but yeah, go on and Liam. Let's kick off with you. Give us the perspective of. Yes, Dave. Hope you're well, mate. Great show, Dave. By the way, with Liam Tully on it. Actually,
he had some dickhead on
Fabio Wardley retweeted my comment on that. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, he retweeted me calling him out as well, I think.
Yeah, JFT been chasing him like
I'm going to get a good hiding at some stage.
Yeah, JFT been chasing him like a lapdog all over X all day. In other words, Tuesday. But anyway, yeah, go on, Liam. Give us some. I mean, look, I was like casually watching it on Saturday night. I wasn't fully on watching it. I was busy, as you boys know, but I've rewatched it back, and I hate the Deontay Wilder comparisons. I do, but I understand where they come from. But Justice Hooney was just outboxing Fabio, wasn't he? It was night and day, really. I mean, Fabio won a couple of rounds. I think he definitely won the first because he stung Hooney, didn't he, right at the end of the first round? But it looked like it was just going to be one of them, Hooney, all he had to do was stay out the way. And then I think he got overzealous. He kind of, got overconfident, I think. And Frank Warren
stood and traded.
All the credit, isn't he? Going, I was telling him to throw the right hand. I was telling him. But it was incredible, to be fair, Liam.
Yeah, look, I think I said with Jay on Sunday and I said with the Daves yesterday that I gave Fabio the first 2 rounds. Then after that, I didn't give him another round. And as disappointed as I was in Fabio being beaten, I was enjoying the boxing lesson that Hooney put on. So one thing from the presser during the week stuck out, and it was Hooney saying, I am better in every department than Fabio other than one punch power. And that's what was happening on Saturday night. He was proving he was the better boxer. His jab and his left hand couldn't miss all night. We had this conversation, didn't we, Jay? He wasn't doing anything flash, but those two punches were enough to keep Fabio at bay all night. And then got to the 10th round, and he decided to hold his feet for the first time since round 2. Took a couple of body shots, didn't he, which pulled his arms down, and Fabio unleashed the perfect right hand. And
it was such a beautiful shot.
To be honest, boxer size Ben, the as much as I rib him and disrespect him with the utmost respect, had called for Fabio to watch him move his head off the line. He likes dipping to the left. I mean, you could probably find that in every fight camp that they do discuss a movement, and eventually it works. But Ben had pointed out the fact that Hooney, when he plants his feet, he does dip to the left, does come off the centre line.
A little bit. I saw that, Jay. You retweeted it, I think, or something.
And Fabio shut his eyes and swung, and it did the job. I'll just clear up one thing. People are moaning about a fast count. Learn about boxing rules. It is not a 10-second count.
Yeah.
It is a 10 count. So the speed is it makes no difference. It makes no
No.
odds. He picks the ref picks the count up from the count the what's he called, the timekeeper.
Yeah, the
He
timekeeper.
picks it up on 5 and then counts what he believes, but he's not going 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi.
Yeah.
He's counting to 10. It's a 10 count. So we get quick.
It's so hard to
fast
say,
counts.
isn't it, Jay? Like, I don't think there was anything wrong with the count, but I would feel hard done to if I was Hooney, to be fair. I think he could have carried on, but I think Fabio would have starched him. So, like,
But
and he didn't moan, Hooney. I know they're
didn't
lodging an
moan,
appeal or something.
was
but
wobbly, you know,
Yeah.
and he didn't put up much,
he was.
much of a
He
fight.
probably would have been gone, to be fair. But
He'd have got slept. If he'd have
Yeah.
carried on, he'd have got slept. He wasn't in a position to intelligently defend himself.
And that's the worst. In that moment, the referee has a decision to make. Is this boxer able to intelligently defend himself? Hooney wasn't. And like you've just said, he would have been flat on his back with medics coming in, and it would have been a horrible scene. Look, we all want to see knockouts and people flattened, but at the same time, we don't want to see someone completely knocked out. And because of the exhaustion, because it was the back end of the fight as well, that's where we were getting to with Hooney there. Look, he's Rose's stock in defeat. Hooney's done more in defeat than he's done in his previous 12 fights before Saturday night. That's the reality. He's put himself slap bang in the mix and at the right time for heavyweights. We all know what's going to happen with the belts up probably after Usyk and Dubois next month. He's now going to be in a pretty good position. Fabio's in one. And Queenie, look, let's see what happens. It was a disappointing night for the majority in the stadium. I mean, people were leaving. I said to Jay on Sunday, I was being quite honest with people around me that I thought Hooney was winning, and I was getting a few plastic cups thrown at me and people telling me to shut up. That's just fantastic if that's what you're going to do at the boxing, whatever. I was just being honest about it because as much as I wanted Fabio to win, he was on his way to a 10-2 points loss.
All the watching tennis if they thought Fabio was winning.
I disagree, Luca. I disagree, Luca. Hooney wasn't actually throwing a power shot when he dipped to the left. He dipped to get himself off the centre and threw a right to get back out again, but got caught as he threw. I don't believe it's anything to do with power. I don't think he was throwing a power shot. But look, ultimately,
it was like Munguia, Saras won. Lloyd, you're right. It definitely was.
It's a 12-round fight, and you're in the fight until the fight's done. The only comparison I would say with Wilder is he's not a particularly good fundamental boxer, but he's way better than. I think Fabio would wipe the floor with Wilder if he could stop from getting caught. The only thing I saw that worries me about Fabio as he goes up the levels is his inability to get away from a jab. He just could not get away from that jab, and Hooney's not that long. If he fights anybody that's long, well, we saw that against Fraser Clark. I think we start to erase the first Fraser Clark fight, it gets overshadowed with what we saw in the second Fraser Clark fight, because in parts of that fight, mate, we're getting his head boxed off again.
There's an easy way. I'm going to ask you both the question. I'll let you both answer it, and anyone else in the comments answer it as well before we move on from this one. I watched his interview on TalkSport earlier, and the next fight's going to be the winner of Pulev and Hunter. We know that anyway for the regular WBA. And then it'll be a WBA mandatory once the Usyk Dubois fragmentation happens. Parker will be first as WBO interim, then it'll be WBA. Yeah. But it looked like Fabio's levels kind of like he isn't going to, like from what we can see anyway, he isn't going to beat a Joe Parker or a Usyk or some. From what I can see anyway.
I don't think he beats Dubois.
No, I don't think he beats Dubois. But just how far can Fabio go? Do you think?
I think he's reached the level that he's probably best at, European fringe world title level. I think he'll get one of the belts if he gets the right fight at the right time.
You beat Bacoli?
Probably,
yes.
Yeah.
I think he could beat Bacoli as well.
I'm not sure he beats Michael Hunter if Hunter turns up. I think Hunter could outbox him,
Hunter
but again,
could be difficult, couldn't he? But
Hooney was doing that, and then he knocked him out. So the Deontay Wilder again, he's got that equalizer of a punch. I don't actually think Fabio hits as hard as everybody says he does. I just think it was a mixture of 9 rounds in. What is it? Round 9. Adelaide doesn't necessarily hold a good shot. Fraser Clark was weird. I thought they should have got separated properly. So Clark wasn't really ready for that shot. I don't think he hits anywhere near as hard as the likes of Deontay Wilder. He hits really hard, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, he doesn't hit as hard as Wilder.
But I don't think he hits anywhere near that. But I worry for him if he's... I said to Liam when we spoke, my worry is this world title narrative. He's got that now, so he can't go down. He's only going to fight up. That's where I worry for Fabio. But look, he's proving everybody wrong. Every single fight is getting better with every single fight. So I'm giving him his props. I'm not taking anything away from him. I just worry that, similar to sort of the likes of Otama, you can't go back now. Now that you're knocking people out of a certain level, you've got to go forward, and that's where I believe...
Speak about Moses later, actually, Jay. Good, well done for saying that, because, of course, there's a rumoured card for August 16th from Riyadh. We can talk about that after, definitely. Just a few more comments coming in. We'll talk about that as well. We'll get Jay going later, Dave. Don't worry about that. We'll save him for just a little bit. But he had a bit to say on Keyshawn last week, so I'm sure Keyshawn's given him a lot more ammo after the weekend. Yes, 445 block. Thanks for joining us. We'll get into Hitchins Kambosos very, very shortly. Thanks, Mo, as well, for joining us, my friend. I see your point, Luca. I do. If Piccoli comes in overweight, Fabio ices him for me. But if Piccoli's in shape, then it is a different fight.
Has he ever been in shape, though?
Well, yeah, true.
I think, like Jay's just said, the trinket that's attached to Fabio now means that he's got to stay at a certain level, and that is the worry. However, if there was ever a time to pick up a trinket, it's at the time where we know the belts are going to start to fragment. It's not like the chances of Fabio having to fight Usyk are minimal.
Yeah, Fabio Wardy and Alexander Usyk are never going to fight. That fight won't happen.
That's the point. We know what's going to happen with the belt, so we know his path in the WBA route isn't going to have to go through Usyk. It may have to go through Hunter or Pulev, because look, Don King's in charge of Pulev and Hunter, so there's a chance we may not even see that fight, depending on what happens there. So it's as good a time to hold the trinket as any, but it's also dangerous because, like we said on Sunday, he can't go backwards now. He can only stay up or sideways. You'd say someone like Piccoli or Lawrence Piccoli, those sort of people are a sideways move rather than an upwards move. And that's where we're going to find out more about him. Look, some fighters just have a fight night like that in their career, don't they? Where everything doesn't go wrong and they're able to pull it out of the fire at the moment. Was 20,000 people inside his home stadium a hindrance?
How many? Come on.
I don't think so, mate.
Getting bigger.
I don't think so.
Like Froch, man. It goes from 80 to 135, depending on who he speaks with. There was about 15 in there, 20. Mate. 15, 20.
More than Barnsley. More than Barnsley.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but whatever was in there, did the crowd play a factor on Fabio on Saturday? Was all that pressure a lot for him? So. He knows now. Yeah. He knows now that his first kid's born in the next couple of weeks. In his own words, it's daddy daycare all summer, and then he wants to be back in the autumn. By the autumn, the landscape at the top of that heavyweight division is going to look very different. Either Usyk's going to have vacated or been stripped, and he fights the winner of Piccoli or of Hunter and Pulev, or the WBA decide to order Pulev against Fabio for the full belt because the Hunter fight hasn't been made. So that division by October is going to look very different. It's an exciting time. It's why Moses being in the position he's in so intriguing because, again, WBOs with Usyk, it's going to fall away. It's just an exciting time to be around it, but be careful with him. If there's a way that he can defend this interim belt, we don't like it. If there's a way he can defend it a couple of times before he makes the move up, it will probably benefit him in the long run.
More
but
experience
things fall away.
Fabio, that's what he needs. He needs rounds experience. That's only going to benefit him. We'll come back to the heavyweights a little bit later on about August 16th. Moses and Dillian White proposed for that date, along with a couple of fights on the undercard. Kakachi against Ray Ford for me being the pick of them. But let's come to what little boxing we do have this weekend. Richardson Hitchins defending his IBF super lightweight world championship for the first time since beating Liam Paro in Puerto Rico last December against the former unified champion Kambosos, getting another opportunity, the best managed career in boxing history, as we like to say on this show anyway. I do like Kambosos. I like the fact that he would fight anybody. That's one thing you can't say about him. He never says no. But I think he's banged up against it in MSG Theatre on Saturday night. I think Hitchins is a horrible matchup for him. I can see Mo and Lloyd having a little chat in the comments.
He get his ass kicked.
But I think it's a tough. I understand that he's 8-1 from what I can see in Lloyd's comment here, but even at those crazy odds, I think Kambosos is bang up against it. And Lucas just put something in. His last decent win was 2021 against the Tio that
had an off night, really.
Yeah, well, he's going through. And look, that, you know, at the end of the day, he lost the fight. Kambosos did win that fight. But yeah, he lost to Maxi Hughes. We know that Maxi Hughes beat him that night in Oklahoma, I think it was. But anyway, he got a robbery. He fought Wiley last time out. He had a tough fight. Lomachenko stopped him. He's only been stopped once. We'll come on to the great Lomachenko, who's just announced his retirement. But yeah, you know, you can both give me your thoughts. No doubt we'll get our predictions out, and maybe a little bit late in the week we might not, but we'll see. Yes, Harry, thanks for
similar to Harry, I can't see Kambosos. I think Hitchins has the edge in speed. His feet are significantly quicker. I think he's got the momentum of being a world champion
in his prime.
I think Kambosos is not. We know he's not in his prime. Whether it's not think. I think we know.
Kambosos got a lot of miles on the clock for a 31-year-old.
He's had a lot of fights, a lot of big fights. I just think that this will be the night where he just gets beat up. I see this being either a late stoppage or a 10-2. 11-1. I just think he's going to be edged in everything he does. I just don't see a way for him winning. I don't think he hits hard enough to knock Hitchins out. Put your money on him knocking Hitchins out.
Neither of them are massive punches. I think if Hitchins is stopping Kambosos, it's a corner pull out or something like that. I think it'd be rather than him actually, knocking him down and Kambosos being out. I don't think he's tough, Kambosos, and Hitchins doesn't hit that hard, but it's a tough night, Liam.
Look, Kambosos' entire last 5 years of his career are built off of the fact that he beat Tio. That's the reality. If he didn't beat Tio that night in the theatre at the MSG, where he is on Saturday, then he probably wouldn't have had the opportunities he's had. I mean, look at it. Since Tio, he's done Devin Haney twice, Maxi Hughes, Lomachenko, and obviously the homecoming against Wiley. Take out Wiley, who was a last-minute replacement opponent. He's been in there against people that have proven themselves time and time again at either elite world level or fringe level. In Maxi's case, he's just, look, this is more than he can chew. If we thought he didn't deserve it before the Wiley fight, he definitely didn't deserve it for the performance he gave us back in March.
Agree.
It's been shoehorned into it over this Twitter beef. That's basically what it is.
Mate, it's ridiculous. I mean,
it works. It works, Fabio.
Yeah.
Trafford.
In an ideal world, Paro winning that is what Eddie Hearn wanted, so he could do an Australian super fight between Paro and Kambosos. Hitchins wasn't meant to win in December. Wasn't meant to win. He upset the apple cart, so now we got to do this. But in reality, we could be seeing the elongated, finally, the end of Kambosos at world level. Because if he loses to Hitchins, there's no, I'm a warrior, I've got heart.
Rematch Maxi Hughes at Doncaster Dome, lad.
Because if he gets stopped by Hitchins, as we're talking about, then Lomachenko and Hitchins, 2 world title fights in a row, would have been stopped in. There's no coming back from that. There's no denying the facts either. Kambosos is being marketed perfectly off of what he done against Tio, but he's, it's past that now. It's 5 years removed. He's not done anything since.
He's had a fantastic career, and I think that he could be one of the guys that goes on way too long. I could see us having a discussion about Kambosos in 5 years' time, and he's getting his head punched in. I just think he's one of them guys that
I know what you mean. The thing he's got in his favour is he's made a hell of a lot of money in his career. Like, he got paid ridiculous money for those 2 Devin Haney fights. He's got all the fancy cars and all that. So hopefully I do know what you mean. He's too tough for his own good, I think, Jay, but hopefully he doesn't, because one thing he doesn't need is any more dough.
No, I'd like to, if he loses, and we're talking about him as if it's a done deal.
No, look, you never know.
We could be sat here on Sunday morning, and I didn't expect him to get anywhere near Tio.
His best win was in MSG against Tio Lopez. He's got good memories there.
In the same arena.
So he could pull it off. I just don't believe that Hitchins is going to relinquish this belt in this fight. I think it's going to take somebody bigger and better than Kambosos at this stage. Maybe 5 years ago it could have been a different fight, but we're not. 5 years ago we're here. So I see Hitchins winning it fairly comfortably.
So on the undercard, Andy Cruz is the co-main event. I believe he's in an eliminator. So obviously we'll get to Loma and his retirement shortly. But that IBF 135 title's kind of been with Loma, but we didn't know what was happening for a long time since he fought Kambosos over a year ago now. He's fully announced his retirement. Raymond Mortala has been elevated the interim IBF champion to full IBF champion now at 135. Andy Cruz is the Intercontinental or something like that. This is basically an eliminator to fight Mortala. Now, Andy Cruz against Mortala is a great fight. If we can get that on for the IBF lightweight championship, that would be really interesting. Two undefeated guys with a lot of pedigree. Obviously, Mortala more pro fights. Andy Cruz we know about is amateur pedigree. He should get through on Saturday night. I don't think we need to preview his fight and who he's fighting and stuff like that. I don't think it's that deep. But hopefully him and Mortala can get that one on. But let's touch on Lomachenko, boys. Obviously, what a career he's had. I believe he's 18-3 as a pro.
Fuck him, prick. Beat my mate. Bollocks.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, battered poor Ant Crawler.
He didn't batter. It was nip and tuck, mate.
Yeah.
He got robbed. Crawler got robbed.
Yeah, yes, poor Crawler. What did he fold in 4 rounds or something?
4, I think it was.
Yeah.
Listen, he did all
fair,
right.
in fairness to Crawler, it was at the back end, but
Crawler did all right out of that. Don't you worry about Anthony. Anthony's all right.
Yeah. You're
He's
right.
somewhere
right.
abroad.
What was he, 396-1 as an amateur or something daft like that?
I think he finished amateur and pro 414-4, and he avenged 2 of those. I think one in the amateurs. No, one in the amateurs he avenged, didn't he?
One controversial thing, Liam. I'll pass this to you. I'll tee you up for it, kind of thing. You know, yes, he had the loss to Salido in his second fight. That was for a world championship in fight number 2. And he won like an international belt or intercontinental in his pro debut. Then he won it in fight 3 against Gary Russell Jr. to become a world champion in 3 fights. But his 2 biggest nights in his career, or his 2 biggest fights in his career, Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. He's got 2 L's on his record in Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez fights. Now,
what about Walters and Rigondeaux? They were big fights at the time.
They were, but I would say commercially and eyeballs wise, his 2 biggest fights with Teo and Haney. I don't know. I might be corrected on that.
Walters and the fights Jay's just mentioned at the time were huge fights. Yes, they were probably superseded by the 2 you've just mentioned, Sam. But at the time, no one wanted to fight Rigondeaux, no one wanted to fight Walters, and he made both men quit on their stools and literally
Walters has never fought. Walters never fought again.
No, he didn't. Tired. Well, I think he came back after like 5 years. But you are right. He went into semi-retirement. Yeah, but like Loma was fighting his natural weight back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, he spent more than half of his professional career outside of his natural weight class, and
that was the only thing that got him was going up too much.
Yeah, he was dropped by Linares, wasn't he, when he's in his first fight at lightweight? But like he was a featherweight, like pushing super feather. But I think 135. You look how big Teo is now fighting at 140. He's going to be at 147.
The only thing that caught up with Loma is the fact that he had to go up in weight to get the fights because of what opposition was there for him. I think me and Jay said this on Straight Talk. Anyone who tries to come out and say that Lomachenko's career shouldn't go down in the Hall of Fame,
he's a Hall of Fame all day long.
Doesn't know enough about boxing. Lomachenko's record would only have a 1 or an 0 against it if he had more challenges at his natural weight classes, as we've just said. Look at the size of Lopez now. Look at the size of Haney now. You know, that's what he was going up against.
Him in there with Nick Ball and them featherweights now.
Oosh.
Exactly. The fact that he was even able to be competitive, and there's an argument that he beat Haney.
Yeah, do you know what? The Haney one was contentious. It was contentious, the Haney fight.
Yeah. That tells you everything you need to know about how good Lomachenko's boxing skill set is, that he's even in the argument. For me, he beat Haney that night. I know Jay.
I agree.
Tells you everything you need to know. Well. The man shouldn't need to wait to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. He should just rock up at the next ceremony and get it over with. He is a bona fide Hall of Fame fighter, and we'll never see another one like him. Look, yes, he lost this second fight. That was on the Mayweather-McGregor card, wasn't it, for his world title? But we'll never see a fighter again in their second fight go for a world title, for God's sake. Like, that is not just generational shit. That's once in a sport kind of thing.
You'll never see his records beat. I think it's world title number 1, fight 3, second weight division fight 7, third weight division fight 12.
Yeah,
that's a record will never ever
that
be beaten.
Won't
He's a generational.
Not even close, mate.
He's a generational.
Not even close.
And he needs lauding. You know, if there's a Mount Rushmore of the last 10 years, him and Usyk are up there.
Yeah, and do you know the best thing about him and Usyk? They're absolute gentlemen as well. You couldn't even when they fight your favorite fighters, Jane, and in your case, your friends. You know, you can't exactly even wish them ill will, can you? Because they're two of the nicest people that you could ever come across in life.
Yeah, they do it properly. They are boxing purists. They are as pure a form of boxer that you could probably ever meet. They are proud men. They look what happened. They both went willing to pretty much go on to the front lines. I know that they weren't, but they were willing to fight for the country. You know, they never shit talk. They give a bit back when they get a bit. You know, that Loma never really tried to, as with Usyk, he never really bended for media to learn the Queen's English just to further his career. Mm-hmm. He learned the language to communicate as he went along, similar to Canelo. Canelo's changed a little bit as social media has become more prevalent in his career, but they stuck to their values, their core values. They didn't bend and shake. They said he said who he wanted to fight, and he fought. You know, and let's not forget, going into the Walters fight, that was deemed a 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
In some betting circles, you could find him as an underdog boxing Rigondeaux. You know, and he made those guys look absolutely non-existent. So yeah, for me, one of my favourite fighters of all time. I'm jesting, effing and jeffing about him beating my friend, but you know, the fact that my friend shared a ring with him is a massive thing for me because, you know, in 20, 30 years' time, they'll still be talking about the Matrix. He did things in that ring that we'd never, ever seen before, and we probably won't see the likes of again. Fantastic, awesome career, and I think he's done it right as well. He ain't gone on too long.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad. I did. The last thing I wanted to see, I said this over a year ago after he last fought. Last thing I want to see is him go out on his back against Tank Davis, being too old and too slow.
Just getting beat by guys that shouldn't be getting beat.
Just wouldn't have been fitting. So yeah, look, I'm glad as well, Jay. I think it was the right call in the end.
Yeah.
Look, a 14-month layoff. As soon as we got to the end of last year without Loma fighting again, we kind of were like, okay, we don't want to see it because time and age waits for no man, if that makes sense. And the longer he's out of the ring, the more painful it would have been to watch him in another fight. So fair play. He's not been bullied into anything. He's done it on his own terms. He's done it on his own time, and we'll never see another like him. It will be, we'll go back and watch his fights in 15, 20 years time and enjoy what he gave us because that's how good he was.
Yeah, agreed. 100%. Let's get into a couple of talking points then before we wrap up. We've been quite vocal. We were very vocal last week actually about Canelo Crawford. All three of us were kind of unified in what we said. Jay's been banging the drum for a while now, but I personally specifically have jumped more onto that bandwagon as time has gone on. But we've had the official announcement now that Canelo Crawford's on for September 13th.
The unoriginal posters that we've had.
Yeah, the best
literally
we've ever seen.
Just
blew all the budget
Crawford's
elsewhere
head on Mayweather's body. It's the exact same poster. But here we are.
Netflix Vegas, September the 13th. Cruz will win UD mode. In my opinion, I'm sure the boys will probably say the same thing. Don't see too much going wrong for him there. But yeah, look, we've had the announcement. Dana's back in the mix promoting it. It was moved from TKO to Riyadh season a few weeks ago.
I'm back again.
Speculation. So I don't know. We've covered it to the death, so there's no. But one thing I will say, Crawford looks a bit slow in his training videos, but
he's trolling you, man. He's trolling you. Don't worry about him. Do not worry about him. That fight,
we're in June as well. I'm not even excited for it.
He can do what he wants, mate, because we're not going to see them two square off. I'm telling you now, that fight is not happening. I don't care. It's not happening.
Mate, we're 3 months. We're more than 12 weeks away from it. I'm with Jay, as I've said for the last few weeks. I don't see it happening. Look, it's bounced around from TKO to Riyadh season.
No, but this is the way I look at it, right? So Dana's promoting it, right? I watched the full post UFC 316 press conference, and they asked him extensively about it, right? And Dana, he would have said if he wasn't allowed to say anything. He did not know what the fuck was going on. And he pretty much said that. Then less than 72 hours later, we have an announcement of a fight. It's all, I know it's been in the works for a while, but it's like they've hurriedly, panically thrown it together. I just don't, for whatever reason, injury, postpone, I just don't see it happening.
They've absolutely
I've got no confidence in
the
it.
promotion up. I'll tell you that, excuse my French, but they've absolutely blundered the promotion. It's been a mess.
Can you imagine what they could have done? And now they're going to try cram it all in to 12 weeks. They could have had a press tour like Mayweather.
Well, they've got a press tour starting next week.
No. What I'm saying is, though, if they could, I'm on about they should have done that by now. They should have done 5 cities, New York, London, Paris, like Mayweather, McGregor, that type of, and drummed it up. Instead, they're going to do flipping pit stops all over in the next 12 weeks, pulling them in and out of camp. It's all backward. It's like they're getting
Riyadh on the 20th, New York the 22nd, and Vegas on the 27th of June. That's the press tour. I read it earlier.
Nonsense. But I'll watch it if it happens, but I didn't want to see it from the start, and I'm still not 100% that fight's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Luca. Yeah, at least they get behind their own. But yeah, look, no Frank and Eddie involvement. Then it will be UFC's president Dana White promoting it. So look, I'm interested to see how it'll look and what it means for Turkey. Said there's going to be no undercard. Basically, it's just going to be talent.
What?
Not no under, as in like there won't be any big fights on the undercard. It'll be young talent and all this that will be undercard.
So they've literally blown the budget.
Yeah. Well, his words is we don't really need an undercard because the fight's so big. And in terms of commercially, he doesn't really need an undercard, to be fair. Probably similar to Usyk Dubois. The fact that they've done 80,000 without an undercard announcement. Like, don't be expecting anything on the Usyk Dubois undercard. It'll be. We thought Moses was going to be on it. Then they will get into what he's going to be doing next.
But
yeah, there'll be no decent, because I see it on X every day. You boys and everyone else in the chat probably see the same. It's like no undercard announcement for Usyk Dubois. What are we 5 weeks out on Saturday this week, and I haven't had an undercard announcement for it yet, and people are expecting it to be a decent undercard.
Absolutely not.
They've seen how good the ticket sales have been, and right.
Thought, what's the point?
Yeah,
there's no point.
So it is a big fight, and it's a 4-belt undisputed fight in the heavyweight division on UK shores. It's history. It definitely is. But and look, I don't blame them for not putting on. Why would they put on a good undercard?
No point in wasting the funds, man. Don't do it.
It's not sorry, mate. It's not a Riyadh season card. It's not like the Dubois Joshua card last year that was a Turkey card in Riyadh season. So look, it wasn't the best undercard in the world, but you got some decent enough fights. Like, this is going to be more like your Joshua Vetkin undercards, your Frock Rose undercard. You'll get a couple of prospects, maybe a final eliminator. Like that's the sort of level we're talking. And there's nothing wrong with it because it's such a good main event. However, the fact we are now 5 weeks out and we still haven't got it just makes you wonder what's going on. Because Frank, as Queensbury have been putting out already this week, they've not got another card now until that one. So you just want to get it announced so you know where you stand.
Yeah. Strange.
Is it a fight card where you're right to do a few bits, but make sure you're home for 9:30 ready for the main event at 10, or is there something to get you in it earlier, if that makes sense? That's what all you want to know is people that tune in and watch.
No, it'd be an alarm job, Luca, for the main event for me. I'm not going to sit through the whole card of that either.
Absolutely not.
Right then, Moses versus Dillian White for August the 16th. Tachi Ford and Nick Ball versus another super bantamweight on the undercard. What do we reckon? Why didn't Ball fight any featherweights? Actually, is the first thing. TJ Dehenny, Ronnie Rios. Who did he last just beat?
Dehenny.
No, he's had one.
Dehenny.
Oh, sorry, no.
Dehenny, because he kicked him, didn't he, in the corner?
Sorry, that was it. He beat Dehenny, Ronnie Rios, and who did he beat? Oh, sorry, he beat Ford before that, to be fair. Ford's gone up. Was a fully fledged featherweight. But yeah, this is his third super bantam. I know Goodman's a decent fighter, man. He's meant to fight anyway. He's undefeated. But he's moving up to featherweight from super bantam.
Yeah, it's not a good look for me now. It's getting to the point where they're just bringing in smaller guys for Nick Ball to beat up.
Unifying, man. Like, why isn't he unifying? He's had.
Don't know.
What's this? His third defense.
There's a stumbling block somewhere, isn't there? But he's just going round in circles for me, is Nick Ball, and it's not a good look. I'm disappointed.
Don't hate
with the
fight. Like, it's better than bloody Dehenny or Ronnie Rios, his last two, to be fair. Like, I don't hate the fight. Goodman's decent, but he's been fighting at 122. Nick Ball's a champion at featherweight. He shouldn't be fighting 3 super bantamweights in a row, in my opinion. Anyway.
Oh God, Charlie Edwards.
Charlie Edwards against Archie Sharp. Jesus, we missed.
It's another one of those cards that I'm not going to believe till I see, because look, Dillian Whyte was meant to fight on Portman Road on Saturday. He was pulled off of it because of his big fight. No, there was another reason as well, mate. The Board of Control, if you look at him, he's still not active with the British Boxing Board of Control after what happened before the Joshua rematch. He's only fought in Ireland and Gibraltar, hasn't he? So I know money talks and they can sort it out, but somewhere along the line, something with Dillian isn't quite right because of how he was pulled out on Friday. You don't all of a sudden on Friday a fight week decide that, he's going to fight Moses in 6 weeks' time. Something in the background that still isn't right. So if it's not in the UK, it will happen. But if it's announced as a UK card, again, I won't believe it till they're facing off final instructions from the ref because of what happened this week. All week, there was something on, someone in the press asked Frank in an interview before the press conference on Thursday, what's happening with Dillian Whyte? And it was, I'm not talking about it. So there's something there that still isn't quite right.
Frank is pissed off with him for not promoting the Tyson Fury fight. I'm telling you now, and that's why he's ended up getting thrown in against Moses. The problem is, Dillian's tough, mate, and could give Moses problems. I don't think he will. I think it's the right time.
Not this version.
Dillian looks shot to pieces.
Oh, Moses is going to absolutely annihilate Dillian. It's not even because I think Moses is the second coming of Ali. I just mean that Dillian's been shot to bits for God knows how long. He ain't holding up to the speed of it's the speed. It's not even the power, it's the speed. He's got no chance. Zero chance.
No, I won't.
I don't give Whyte a puncher's chance against us.
I do.
Yeah, that's just, you know what I'm like, mate.
If he's got anything left, sorry, mate, if he's got anything left, then he shows it against Moses. I agree with you, mate. If there's anything left in him,
and I'd like to see what Moses is like going into 5, 6, 7, if we get that far. If Dillian can hold man in 5, 6, 7, then it becomes a different fight. But I don't. I think he'll blast him out of there in 4 or 5 rounds. I think if it goes that far, we're lucky.
I just want to see what the location is because, he talks about it being for a big fight. But to pull him out on the Friday of fight week tells you there's a few other things.
It's been announced, mate. It's going to be in Riyadh.
That's fine. Well, it'll happen then, won't it? Because it's
it's Riyadh.
Well. Who does do the licensing for Saudi?
Nobody. Turkey, probably.
Yeah, well, normally.
Sign this.
Yeah. Normally, it's Frank Warren and Queensbury under the British Boxing Board of Control. Isn't it? On the Riyadh season cards. It's a Riyadh season card, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, mate, that's the cynicism in me of looking at the fact that he was pulled out Friday of fight week, wondering what's going on with his license. We all know, especially with the Turkey things, it can happen, can't it? It's just, I don't know if the Dillian Whyte of 2025 is the right person to ask questions of Moses. It will look fantastic on his record.
Oh yeah, Dillian's getting his pension, mate.
I think Chisora's an harder fight for Moses than Dillian. I think Chisora's got a little bit more.
At least Chisora's been active for all his flaws. At least he's fighting.
Yeah.
How would Moses deal with Chisora sitting on his chest for however many rounds are scheduled in a fight? That would actually be a question that I'd like to see.
Chisora's got a better chin than Whyte, in my opinion, as well.
I think so, yeah.
Even though Whyte...
Chisora's got more left than Whyte as well.
Yeah, Whyte has always been susceptible, in my opinion. He's been knocked out badly a few times, hasn't he? But
he holds his hands really low. His defence is a shot, and he's shot now. So it's
he is, yeah.
It's a win-win for Moses, I believe.
Yeah, the best fight on the card, boys, Raymond Ford, Anthony Kakachi. In my opinion, that is a cracker at super feather.
I think Ford schools Kakachi, me.
I think I'd have Ford the favourite in that fight. I really rate Ford, but I wouldn't rule out Kakachi because I'm sick of backing against him and him winning.
I know what you mean, but I just think Ford's
a lot
better.
More skillful. He is. I would say, but great fight. It's a great fight.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's a great fight.
Good to see Kakachi straight back out again. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. You're giving Kakachi a fighter that's young enough to outbox him for the first time in a while. Look, he's had an incredible run, and yes, Cordina was the champion, one of the best in the division at the time, but what they've given him since has been fighters at a certain stage of their career. Ray Ford is still coming into his peak, so can Kakachi deal with a fighter in his peak at the point in his career he is at? And for me, I'm similar with you boys. I think it's a bit of a boxing lesson from Ray Ford, unfortunately, on Kakachi.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's a certain style that Kakachi, would do well against, but I think Ford's a clever fighter and he can bang a little bit as well. It's a tough night, but I'd have it as a 60-40 to Ford, but yeah, I wouldn't rule out. I had that on my mind, Dave. Don't worry about that. I'm gonna tee him up for it in a minute. I guess we'll finish on that. So I'll recap Keyshawn Davis' week last week.
I'm going to mute my mic.
About him, didn't we? Last week, we're saying that he's been delivering in the ring. Yeah. I'll mute Jay for a minute. He's been delivering in the ring, and he looked incredible against Baranchik, against Lemos before that. But his attitude had been a bit stinky, shall we say, in my opinion. And Jay definitely said it right last week. But what happened last week? I was buzzing that Edwin De Los Santos' team pulled him out after Keyshawn failed to make the weight. Bob Arum, Top Rank, paid him his $400,000, which I think is commendable from them. They're the promotional company. They paid De Los Santos his full purse. Keyshawn's there to fight, eating popcorn, looking like he doesn't care. His brother loses. He goes and has a scrap with the opponent that beat his brother in the background. He's just acted like an absolute clown, in my opinion. I actually rated him and liked him before a lot of the events I saw last week. Now I just think that he just looks like an absolute plonker.
Divi.
Go to 140, do what you want to do, but it's just the way, like, this was his hometown show. He's from Norfolk, Virginia. The crowd were there, paid their hard-earned money to go and see him. Abdullah Mason headlined the card in the end. But he's had an absolute nightmare week.
Keyshawn Davis has shown exactly what he thinks about his hometown fans and boxing fans in general. Doesn't give a shit. Never has done, never will do. I said last week, and I've said from day dot, he's more interested in being a star, a character, this persona, and he's not concentrating on his boxing. He didn't miss weight. He failed to even attempt to make weight. He knew at least a week before weighing that he would never get there. Evening, Mitch. I'll see you tomorrow.
Hi,
knowing full well, 4.3 pounds is not a miss. 4.3 pounds is not even trying. To then do what he did, I mean, I don't advocate for this from the background that I'm at, but he should have got his ass locked. They should have got his ass locked up for what he did. That's assault. Sour grapes, assault. Thinks he owns the flipping world. He's an absolute dick. I've gone from being a Keyshawn Davis fan to not wanting anything to do with him in the space of 12 hours. Absolute punk move. And I hope they make it very difficult for him to get back to where he was. They won't, because he's that good, but they should.
It's just frustrating, isn't it? He's done, Top Rank's done everything to give him a big homecoming 10 weeks on from him picking up the world title. Gave him the big sell, gave him everything that he asked for, and then he goes and has the week he has. And I mean, like Jay said, he's not missed weight. He's not tried to make weight. It's getting announced how overweight he is, and he's pissing himself.
That's why Bob Arum was fuming at him, and Bob don't take no shit.
Dickhead move.
Coming through the microphone. I mean, I said with the Rope-a-Dope boys last night that Keyshawn shouldn't have turned up to the event on Saturday. He should have stayed away from it, and then there should have been a statement come out on his social media on Sunday. Whether it was a genuine one, a bullshit one, doesn't matter. That should have been what he done. Going there on Saturday was bad enough, people seeing him again, and then to behave like he did, and like Jay said, lucky to not end up being carried out in a set of cuffs. It's just, he's done everything in a week to absolutely batter his reputation. And now it's not just the fact he isn't a world champion anymore. He's pissed off Bob Arum. Bob doesn't take any prisoners. If he wants to get rid of you, he will. If Bob Arum does decide to cut him off out of his Top Rank deal, who's going to take a chance on
he's not even, mate, he hadn't even defended. He's been a world champion 10 minutes. He's been a world champion 2 minutes, and he's giving it the big licks. This will be very, very detrimental to his legacy. You might think I'm being dramatic, but this is the kind of shit that sticks with you throughout your
Yeah,
career.
no, I mean, I've no problem with shit talk either. And he was trying to like give Abdullah Mason a bit at the press conference, and Abdullah Mason's a prospect. But I don't mind that. But then to know for a fact that you're not going to make the weight the next day, and you sat there giving 21-year-old Abdullah
and be
Mason,
so nonchalant about it.
Yeah, like nah, I've
not apologetic.
Yeah.
Which shows me he never tried, because I think at one point he was asked, "Are you going to try?" Nah, can't do it. Can't get another bit out of my body. Bollocks. At 4.3 pounds, you're lying, mate. You didn't even try. You didn't want to, or have outgrown the weight. Right, well, you should have said that.
Yeah, and he thought De La Santos
4 weeks
was
ago
going to take the fight. That's why he was so nonchalant about it. But they did the right thing, man.
Absolutely. They stood on business, mate. You're there to fight at a weight.
Yeah.
That's too much, mate. That's trying what Ryan Garcia tried with Haney. You know, that he did that as a 3 pound weight advantage. And he admitted he just stopped trying. He left it on. You don't miss weight at 4.3 pounds. You miss weight like Eubank Jr. did at 5 ounces or whatever it was. Half a pound even. A pound maybe. When you just can't get that last pound up. You know, me talking like I've had to do it. I've cut weight once in my life. But I know how difficult it is. My brother was a pro, so I've seen him cut weight from 11 years old up to being 30 odd. So I know how difficult it is. He's not tried, man. He's upset a lot of people. I'm not a fan anymore. And I was a fan. I was big on his skill set. I had him down as, you know, potentially being one of the best of this generation. Bollocks for me now. I won't watch the kid now, because I just think it's not just that, but to not sit at the back of the room with your head down, being humble and embarrassed about potentially ruining an event. No, you had to kick off and start fighting with your brother's opponent, and just absolute knobhead asshole behaviour.
Yeah, he'd come across like a plonker. Boys, there's one thing, I was going to wrap it up. There's one thing that I forgot to talk about. Sky Sports' involvement with Boxer. It's been widely reported, not official, I don't think yet, but Sky won't be renewing their exclusive rights to
No, they're going to do fight-by-fight deals with whoever wants to be on the platform.
Said. Something like that. But, I mean, Boxer's immediate future, Ben, we spoke about it, didn't we? Saying he had a little sparkle in his eye. So
TNT, you said,
didn't got a deal. Do you think he's going to go to TNT?
I think so. I don't see him going to DAZN, but, you know, happy to be proved wrong, but I think it'll be TNT. I think he seemed too smug for it to be DAZN. It seemed like he'd got something.
Yeah.
Something different, yeah. Something that isn't just following where Eddie and Frank, etc. are. I think it's strange, isn't it? It's, you know, Sky pulling out of boxing. They didn't have either of the top ranked cards. So they didn't have Nakatani or the Abdullah Mason card, as it turned out on Sky.
There's no boxing people at Sky anymore. I'm talking about the big wigs. There's no boxing people at Sky anymore. And I just don't think they see it now as their core.
They just care about pay-per-view, mate. That's all they care about.
And I believe that their money for them is in football, F1, tennis, golf, any sport but boxing now. Don't think they're bothered.
He's going to TNT. Luke says no DAZN show will be on Sky, so not sure what's going on at UK times. I might as well stop boxing altogether. And look, DAZN have got the monopoly that way, but see if Netflix are coming in and taking fights off them, big fights, and that's going to
be losing my £25 a month. Absolutely.
Yeah, because Netflix.
Yes, Luca, but he's not a wig, is he? He's a fucking paid Uncle Tom. That's all Johnny Nelson is. He's not making decisions in the boardroom, is he?
What's Johnny going to do?
Fuck all, mate. Get back to doing note. Doing gardening fucking tips on his Instagram with his shirt off. Smashing Anna.
We'll see. It's going to be an interesting few weeks anyway. I'm sure we'll get all the announcements and we'll find out what's happening for Boxer. Anything else to cover off, boys, before we leave it there?
Not from me, no. It's been a good one. It's not
enjoyed,
as good this weekend.
Enjoyed that. Thanks to everyone, as always, for joining us. Luca, the Mad Mitch TV.
Thanks, guys.
Mo Price was there. Thank you, guys.
Humble
Harry,
Apple Crumble, Roper.
yes, Humble Apple Crumble. Lloyd was there. Thanks, Lloyd.
Harry.
Harry 445 block. Kyle Hayden. Got a good crowd tonight. Apologies for missing. I don't think I did. Jay and Liam, been a pleasure as always. We'll maybe do some predictions a bit later in the week. The boys are back in the running with Straight Talk. Any shows
We are.
Liam? Probably a bit thin this week for a show, is it?
We're going to do a Straight Talk on Thursday, but there's no Liam's Fight Night picks this week.
It's not
I don't
really
believe.
a boxing.
It would just be Liam's pick of a fight.
Yeah, Liam's pick of.
it would be one fight, mate. It'd be a short rather than a
Kambosos Hitchins. But no, good show that was. Enjoyed it as always, guys. Appreciate everybody for locking in, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.